And as many of you know, this is an amazing concept, right? Like, we know that this should be a national model. Like, many people of color don't know their legacy, they don't know their roots, they don't know what tribe or what country they actually really come from. They know that they were here, brought here at some point through a slave ship, right? We know that, but we don't know much beyond that. So this is literally transforming the lives of people. It transformed my life when I went last year. It's transforming the lives of these young people that are here today. And we know that Birthright Israel is a model that exists out there where people of Jewish descent can go back and find out their culture, and thousands of people are going. So the vision is that this will eventually become a thing where thousands of people of color are actually going back and finding their African legacy and their roots and getting connected to who they are and understanding their power and their kingship and their queenship and knowing that they are more than what the media and what society says in America that they are, right? So as we're getting connected to that, let's remember that as we're listening to these stories. We have selected 5 of our group of 10, of the Kelewele 10 we call them. They call themselves. We selected 5 to present tonight. They're special presentations about how this trip transformed them. And I really want you all to pay close attention, really give them your time and energy, and let them see what it is that, let them feel that energy from you and that love from you for their own transformation in their process. And so as I wrap up, I'm going to introduce the CEO of Birthright Africa to come up and just do an opening for us, and she'll be the MC for the evening. But before I do that, I just want to do one quick thing. So number one, I want to acknowledge one of our donors who had decided to come out after work out of a very busy schedule to be here, come take pictures, be supportive, and give us words. Miss Denise Arbersu is in the front row. Can you just wave your hand real quick, Denise? So, the reason why we have a culturally competent peer-to-peer mentorship structure and are able to train all of our 200 plus mentors every year is because of funding from Citibank that we get from Denise. So she literally approves she gives us a grant. She started in 2016 and we're trying to apply for another one that we're crossing our fingers will get approved. And essentially we're able to do this mentorship structure. And for those of you who don't know what BMI looks like overall, real quick synopsis, we have 31 projects. We serve high school equivalency prep programs, community college students, senior college students, graduate professional studies students, and also the re-entry population, people coming from criminal justice backgrounds back into college. We have over 3,100 students that are across all 24 CUNY schools. We're the only student affairs program that is at every single CUNY school. You can find BMI everywhere. And on top of that, we make sure that every student gets culturally competent peer-to-peer mentorship structure. So every student gets a mentor, if they want to have one, that is watching them along the way, make sure they're on track academically, financially, socially, and they're graduating on time. They get academic enhancements, which can be tutoring or textbook loan programs, and they get a chance to study with their colleagues, and also socio-emotional programming, which is like a chat and chew or barbershop session or a time to get together once a week or every other week just to kind of talk about what's going on in your life and how you can get some college skills like study skills and things like that. And then so everyone has the same model. We do site visits to assure quality control across all the models, and you're going to see students that are here representing many of those different programs as well as their own college discovery program. So without further ado, I've said a lot of words. I also want to say thank Ms. Julesi Aldain. I don't know if she's in the room, but she's the new BMI staff that's really helped put all this together, so I want to thank her as well publicly, and we have a great team that's behind the scenes doing all this work. So without further ado, let's get started with some of these presentations. Hope you really enjoy them, and I want to introduce the CEO of Birthright Africa, Ms. Wala Elshi.
Hi everybody, Akwaba! Welcome, Ingane, to another year of celebration of Birthright Africa and the experience our scholars just went through. My name is Wala Sheikh, as was just mentioned, and continuing on the tradition begun with our pilot year last year, the BMI Takeover 7. Today we'll hear from our Kelewele 10. And I will let them tell you the story of how that name came to be, because it's quite fascinating. The 10 scholars that were selected through our CUNY Office of Special Programs. And at first, of course, I have to thank people before we get started, because without, the folks that I'm about to mention, this just could not happen, right? It never is just one person, like the African proverb says. In order to go far, you must go together. And so with that, I have to first thank our co-founder, Diallo Shabazz, who brought CUNY actually to my attention as a potential education partner. And so for all of you at CUNY, you really need to thank him. He's been the most incredible mentor, thought partner. It's just been phenomenal. I can't imagine a better person to partner with for this life's work. And then of course, meeting Sean and seeing his leadership to get this program happening from scratch. And it really shows that leadership that we can take to the next level for other universities to model, right? CUNY's really leading the way. When you think about the fact that only 6% of students of African descent get to do a study abroad, that CUNY's really leading the way, right? With the Birthright Africa program, we're trying to make a difference. And so I'm really thrilled to be working now to get this officially under the study abroad offerings. That's just going to take it to another level with the accredited course. And then speaking of the executive board members, Azza Sheikh is here, my sister. Who's heard the story of Birthright Africa since over 15 years ago when I planned to launch it as part of my own legacy of innovation. So this is really true and dear to my heart, near and dear to my heart. You guys, the insight that you provide is invaluable, just phenomenal. And we're excited to add more board members in the future. So if that's of interest, please come talk to me. Thank you to our facilitators, of course. Without Adriana and Andrew, we could not have implemented this work, as Sean mentioned. And our program director, Ashley Johnson, who actually relocated to Ghana after her birthright. So it does actually happen where people make that transition. She's been instrumental in supporting our Ghana operations and will continue to do so for 2019. Of course, I need to thank our donors and all of our other supporters. Thank you. This amazing work obviously could not be done without the funding. And so we continue to ask you for this support to make this birthright occur. This is low to no cost, like free. And it's important because as I asked the Kelly Wele 10 on the first day of orientation, what's the number one reason you haven't been to Africa? They all had this amazing passion to want to go when I interviewed them. And they're like, money. So it makes a huge difference. Of course, meeting everyone along the journey. So we visit cultural sites, museums, universities, and what we call our innovation partners. Organizations managed, owned, or led by people of African descent, because it's really critical for us to believe in our own legacies, to actually see it in action as it's happening, in addition to understanding the historic legacy that's already been built for us, right? The shoulders of the ancestors that we all stand on. And so, if anyone, I know there's a few of you here, innovation partners, maybe folks that we visited along the cultural sites, thank you for being here and for supporting our work. Without you, we really don't have a program. And we continue to want to meet you along the path. If anyone on Facebook Live, by the way, we are on Facebook Live, is in Ghana, thank you, if you stayed up this late. For all the folks that we saw over there, I didn't go to this year's trip, but I did go last year. So I'm looking forward to reconnecting next year. By the way, next year is 2019's Year of the Return. Does anyone know this? It's the official Year of the Return, where they are commemorating the 400 years since the first enslaved ship came to Jamestown, Virginia, 1619. Yes. And it's not just Ghana. I heard Sierra Leone is doing it as well. A lot of the countries in Africa are really desiring that connection for the diaspora to come back home and reconnect. So, one moment here, I want to make sure I cover all my bases. So of course, without these two folks, none of this would be possible because I wouldn't even be here. My parents. So, who've allowed me to dream these dreams and fulfill this vision of Birthright Africa, letting me have the flexibility I needed. And when I say flexibility, I mean being in and out of their house when I needed a place to crash and I couldn't pay rent, because I'm an entrepreneur like others who needs that moment in time. But it reminded me of the African values that they often echoed and I took for granted as a child, of course. That you sacrifice for family. That's part of the culture. And we are of Sudanese heritage. You just heard a little chanting there for my sister, celebrating. My mom, who is not here tonight, who's not feeling too well, has shown so much strength in so many ways. We could spend another 10 minutes. Her focus on our education growing up and the persistence to ensure we receive the best opportunities is what inspires me to do the same for you guys as the Birthright Africa Scholars. My dad, who is here tonight, yay! Who took the brave, yes, stand up. As every African father must do. Pride and heritage. He took the brave journey to the US from Sudan in 1989 to make the preparations for our family to join. Yet again in another international city somewhere in the world, this time in New York. And that inspired my love for travel. I grew up in Sweden and in Uganda, not recognizing what an advantage that was. And this is why I also truly believe travel is the best education. It really made me feel confident and connected to every person in the world. Thank you, Mom and Dad, so much. I love you, and I know I don't say how grateful I am enough. So I hope this makes up for it. So as I said, I was fortunate to grow up around the world, or traveling to various countries. I had no idea what that advantage was like. As a college student, I actually didn't participate in study abroad, so I was like that 6%. I thought, I'd traveled enough. However, I began to realize it had been 15 years or so since my last international trip. And when you think about folks who've never had a chance to travel abroad, ever, is that anyone in the room? I would actually not be surprised, because we have CUNY students here or people in their early young professional age. Yeah, raise your hand. You guys are here to learn about this experience so that perhaps you're in it. It makes you realize how phenomenal it is to travel. It really expands your learning beyond the classroom, which now is necessary in this globalized economy. Traveling abroad develops you into a global leader. Traveling to where your ancestors are from not only develops you into a global leader, but also transforms your life. And so, I'm sure our Birthright Africa scholars agree, because 100% of them told us it was life-changing, both last year's group and this year's group, and you'll hear directly from them. And if you know our history, you know that people of African descent were exploring the Americas centuries before Columbus.
Yes, Ivan Van Sertima.
Yeah. And so it was noted by author Ivan Van Sertima in his book, They Came Before Columbus. I highly recommend that you get that book. The seafaring Africans were exploring the Americas before Columbus and made their influence here on civilization, trading with the indigenous people. And then, of course, a lot of that exploration kind of got lost and disrupted with enslavement and then colonization. And that narrative was forgotten. And our stories of our contributions and our greatness along with it. So our mission at Birthright Africa is to reclaim that narrative and regain exploration as a birthright opportunity, where we provide it for low to no cost, and young adults to discover their roots and uncover that greatness that's been lost. And so we start with local and national exploration. We believe our birthright is also here in the United States, so you'll see some in New York and DC exploration shared by our scholars. And then we believe it's important to ensure that they meet these present day leaders and entrepreneurs of African descent, not just learn the history, but see the present legacy being built, both here and on the continent. 7 out of the 10 top emerging countries in the world are in Africa. Yes. And so by learning where they came from, and they see this present day legacy being built, they now know that they are the future. And future leaders and entrepreneurs that are proud of their heritage, confident in their innovative aspirations, and connected to the continent, and can see themselves living anywhere in the world, including on the African continent. So let's hear it directly from them. I am so proud. I wish you could hear from all 10, but because of time, we gotta narrow it down to 5. However, after the presentations, we can go back into the room that we started in, where you rotated around to hear from the others. And I look forward to their journeys and for them to fulfill their legacies of innovation as they continue to inspire us. And hopefully have them become the future Sankofa creators that they've also highlighted for themselves. All right, first up, let's go, Mikhail. The influence that he gained in his musical endeavors. The other thing that I really love about Mikhail is that he's also pursuing a career as an educator, and so that makes him a kindred spirit of mine. And I'm excited to support that journey and mentor him along the way. And I was telling him on the ride over here, so I actually picked up Mikhail and Terrell, picked up the equipment. Gotta do it all, right? When you first start out, gotta do it all. I was telling him, can you imagine if every educator of African descent went to Africa as part of their own journey to become a teacher? The kind of learning and insight that they can then share with their students. Well, at least we have one in Mikhail, right? All right, are you ready? 30 seconds. So, we don't have time for the Kelly Willie 10 story, but I'm gonna let one of the next scholars tell it. So, Mikhail, I think we need you at least to stand up, right? Can you stand up? Microphone? It goes. Does it go long?
And you'll distract. I'll talk first.
Yeah, how about that? Let's talk first. Sean, you're a musician. You can help him out with the equipment setup. So last year, a lot of our presentations were just straight presentation, but I was like, no guys, this year we're gonna bring out the artist in us, share our full self as much as we can. So it takes a little bit more logistics, but I think it's gonna be worth it in the end. All right, here we go.
Aquaba, everybody. How you guys feeling? Good? All right. So as Walla just mentioned, my name is Mikhail. I'm a Queens College student, and thank you. Yeah, I'm pursuing education in urban studies, and I want to give a quick shout out to Jorge, my CUNY BMI director, who really put me onto this program and sat me down and helped me, do the ins and outs in order to be accepted. I also want to give a shout out to Kadeem, who also gave his assistance. I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for coming out. So my legacy of innovation. So from my first to fifth year, as you guys may know, I'm a musician, and for that time span, I'll be perfecting my skills to perfect my craft. And from my 5 to 10 year span, I'll be starting my career as an elementary school teacher. And last but not least, I never really had this idea like before this program, and just the experience and just growing like a deep love for my people and my roots back in Africa, I'm gonna decide to get my master's in Africana Studies in order to teach at a historical Black college. So this is a quick picture of Oxford Street in Ghana. And I know for the Kelowella attendants, this is bringing back a lot of memories, because this is where we spent most of our time. We bonded a lot, and we spent a lot of money. So I'm gonna play a song that's more like a meditation, and I would like everybody to meditate on it. And even if you guys did not have the chance to visit the continent as yet, try to envision how it would be. Thank you guys, thank you. So I have two more selections, but I really want to talk about this one. So while in Ghana, we got to go to the art center and hold on. So I got to learn more about these instruments, which is called the saloto, and these are Ghanaian instruments that are used to create Afrobeat music. So if you guys are familiar with Afrobeats, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people like it, you know. But yeah, these are created to make the rhythm of Afrobeats. And I wanted to dedicate this song to Muhammad Gungu. This is a guy who unfortunately I never got to meet in Ghana because when I was around to look for him, he wasn't there. And I was referred to him, you know, by somebody else to actually learn this instrument. And I want you guys to see the video first, to see the inspiration, and to see how rhythm is like really embedded in African culture.
This is right here, the second minute.
Alright, so you guys can see like how good this guy is. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna take that. I'll do my best, alright?
I'm just stay here.
So, the last picture is, you see the title, one of the finest Ghanaians, and this is one of the locals that we came across on Oxford Street in Accra, and his name is Rashita. And this guy is really receptive to us. He made me realize that, black people, love each other, have that genuine love. And as we came into his shop, it just felt like we knew him from the States. He was just like another brother. And I want to dedicate a short part of what I had planned to this photo.
One more time.
Thank you, guys.
After party at Mikkel. Yes, you need to cut a record of that, seriously. Yeah. And for those on Facebook Live, we can't copyright that. Besides, you don't have what's the name of the instrument? You don't have the assalatone. And it was a little journey to get it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have Shayna. Come on down. So everyone at Birthright Africa is a scholar. But Shayna is like scholar extraordinaire. She could already be instructing the Birthright Africa program, honestly. Because she just had professor level answers whenever, the leaders at the cultural side, so do you know this? And she would just break it down. So she's about to break it down for y'all.
Quality, y'all. It's fan. It took me 2 days to do this, so appreciate the hard work. So let's just start with Africa and America. So if you don't know already, we built this. America, the Caribbean, revolution. So to begin, we went to the Schomburg Center in Harlem, which was actually founded by Afro-Latino from Puerto Rico, Mr. Schomburg. And right there, that little circle circular thing at the Schomburg Center. Around it, you'll find the poem from Langston Hughes, Negro Speaks of Rivers. And what that represented to me was that the Pan-African spirit has been living in the diaspora since we've landed in the Americas. We also got a chance to explore the culinary foods such as La Savane 125th, which is my new favorite restaurant, where we got poisson blizzard, merci. And we also got to go to the African Bureau Ground in Wall Street. Again, like I said, we built this. Here are the waist beads, an artifact from the African Bureau Ground. Harriet Tubman at 125th Street, right there in Washington, what they call Chocolate City, which is unfortunately being gentrified right now. What else do we have here? Yes, the whip that was used on our ancestors. But what this signified to me was that our legacy is much more than they allow us to be represented by, right? We contributed so much to the Americas, but unfortunately that's not recognized by America. So my perceptions about Africa before I reached there. Oftentimes, Pan-Africanists, we think about Africa as a stagnant area that hasn't progressed with the rest of the modern world. And going over there were still many traditional parts of Africa, such as, say, the Cape Coast, where our enslaved ancestors were taken from and brought to the Americas. Or the Adinkra village, where traditional Ashanti culture is still being held alive by the ink. Or just even the cattle that graze the streets, typically owned by the Fulani herdsmen, right? So there was still this modern, traditional part of Africa that still lived in Ghana. But Africa has also progressed. I had music, y'all, to go with it, but I'm playing it. It went so well. I had this so well thought out. Okay, but Africa also progressed with the rest of the modern world. As you see here, with that black powder fist on a light bulb from Kenas, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, with the Fine Arts Department. Here, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial, we got a chance to go to the diaspora, the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs in Barcelona. So Africa has progressed with the rest of the modern world, and it's unfair to think of Africa as a stagnant place where it's not a competitor with the rest of the world. And when we were sitting down, listening to the panelists, it was amazing to see Black entrepreneurs who are not just owning hair shops or restaurants, which is awesome too, but actually innovators and entrepreneurs and technology and other things that we typically don't see Black faces represented in. So here's my first Sankofa creator, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who was quoted as saying, "We have dared to free ourselves, let us dare to do so by ourselves and for ourselves." So what this quote means to me is that, yes, we're no longer enslaved, yes, we're no longer physically colonized, but where do we go from there? We managed to free ourselves in that sense, but how do we progress and actually become a self-determining people? We as African people are not yet self-determining. Our destiny is oftentimes shaped by the actions of others. And my personal goal is to get to a place where we can determine where we go to, whether good or bad, by ourselves, and have that on our conscience, that we decide where we want to go as a people without the intervention of outsiders of the culture, which is why I chose Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Jean-Jacques Dessalines was fearless, and he did not worry about being respectable, but placed freedom and equality above that judgment. Let's see who else. Okay, so right here is Sani Belé, who is often a forgotten figure in the Haitian Revolution. As a Black woman, we've never had the privilege of sitting down and relaxing in the time of war. We've had to fight alongside the men, but we're often excluded out of that narrative. So I choose Sani Belé, who fought in the Haitian Revolution. And for her quote, I put, which is a Creole quote, "Pas la peine la tête, pas la peine le ventre," which means there is no peace in the mind if there is no peace in the stomach. A quote from former President Aristide of Haiti, which goes to say you cannot have one without the other. You cannot have the freedom of men without the freedom of women. And until all of us realize that as a group, we'll never get anywhere or progress. Sankofa creator, Fela Kuti, who used music as a political statement. Fela Kuti was targeted by the Nigerian army for his political statements in his songs, such as Zombie. And he actually came to America for a short period of time and was influenced by the Black Power movement. At the top, I have a quote from African-American playwright Amiri Baraka, who's quoted as saying in the 60s, "Art is a weapon in the struggle of ideas." And then in the 70s, Fela was quoted as saying, "I am using my music as a weapon." For me, this is a signal of a link in the global African revolution, where we're using music, where we're using our creativity to lift ourselves out of the rubble of enslavement, of colonization, and really become an empowered people. Not only with Amiri Baraka in the Americas and his great plays, but Fela Kuti with his music and in Africa, and now influencing a generation of Afrobeats. My next Sankofa creator, Queen Bee. And not because of her talent or because I am an honorary member of the Beehive, but because she's gotten to a place in her career where she can make bold political statements without having to worry about being targeted, right? I aspire to get to that level of freedom where I can be comfortable materially. I'm not asking for riches or anything like that, but to be comfortable materially and be able to stand in my values with boldness. We saw how she made a political stand at the Super Bowl and the backlash that she faced, but she's continuing in that step because she's built a legacy for herself where she can say what she wants without having to worry about if she's gonna eat tomorrow. You know, there's no such thing as a broke activist. And my next Sankofa creator, Mr. Daryl Davis, who is half Kenyan and half African American. She attended Harvard, I believe, and graduated from Columbia. If I'm wrong, she can fact check me after this. She works in the UN. She's the co-founder of Fair, which is a comparative ride-sharing app. And she works in several African countries in East Africa, also helping to create legislation in these countries. And the reason why I chose her as a Sankofa creator is because not only did she achieve so much along the lines of what I want to do in my career, but because she maintains a humble spirit. I want to be able to say that I've achieved so much in my life and still be so chill and cool. Like, she's mad cool. She's mad cool, y'all. And I want to be able to embody that, being still so humble and chill 15, 20 years from now when, like, I pop off the Black Revolution, which is my goal. Okay, so my 15-year legacy of innovation, which is to establish a transatlantic trade between Africa and the Caribbean. Yeah. And this is like a really apt conversation now because just a week ago in my intro to politics class, we had a guest speaker from Nigeria who spoke about Africa and how we're not really a player in the modern globalized economy. Where Nigeria specifically talked about is a renter's country where anybody can come because it's of the petro dollar. Anybody can come and rent, but there's no stabilized economy, and we don't really. While we are the resource for the world, rich, whether it be Europe or China or anywhere else in the world, we don't benefit from that. So my goal is to establish a transatlantic trade between the Caribbean and Africa, particularly West Africa, given the connected struggle, so that we may lift ourselves out of the rubble of that oppression and really be power players in a globalized world. And that's it. I swear it would have been so much better if I had the music, but it's not there, so thank you.
So dedicated. I try to tell them, you guys, they really just want to hear from you. All these presentations are phenomenal, but it's about you and your voice. So if the music doesn't work, it doesn't work. You could have just started singing yourself. Don't you sing, Shayna? It's too late now. We ain't got no time, but that's what was supposed to happen. It's okay. All right, next up, I think we got Kike Lobo, who calls herself Kiki for short, but I'm trying backyard, you're gonna say Kike, make it an African short name. She's our future doctor, y'all. I'm so excited about what she's about to do. And actually has some direct Ghanaian ancestry, so this was a very interesting journey for her that she will tell you all about. Are you all set?
Akwaba, guys. So as Walla mentioned, my name is Kike Lemo Olani Pakun. It's from Nigeria, from the Yoruba tribe. I do go by Kiki, as everyone knows me too. But like Walla has said, I am trying to go back to Kiki, which I will do. I think the part of the reason why I always wanted to be referred to as Kiki, I guess growing up, I wasn't always proud of who I was, or my name, what it stood for, or the meaning behind it. By the way, it means to be cherished. That's the meaning of my name. So basically, the reason why I actually started with this program was because, like I said, my mom, she's Ghanaian and Nigerian, and I felt like her coming to America, she was more assimilated to the Western culture, and I felt like that's how me and my siblings were raised. So I had I didn't really value where I came from or what I stood for, and I felt really lost. And one of the things that I stand by is that in order for you to go forward in life, you have to know where you're coming from. So I felt like if I didn't know my roots, if I didn't know what I stood for, if I didn't know where everything began, then how could I go forward and accomplish the things that I set out to accomplish in life? So that was one of the main reasons why I really went for this program. So the first slide is just the exploration. I was going on my computer, sorry. Exploration in New York and DC. These are the first 8 weeks of the program. We went to different exploration sites and we met different panelists. So these are just a few of the places that we went. We went to the Schomburg the first week. Next week we went to the African burial ground, which was really eye-opening for me because I've lived in New York all my life and I never knew this place existed. And to know that our ancestors are buried under this ground and people are building these buildings and all these things on top of them, it was just so disrespectful to me. And I just didn't understand it. So I felt like this is where something inside of me first started, I was beginning to understand, okay, something is not right here and I have to investigate this and try to figure out what's really going on. We also went to the Caribbean Cultural Center. When we went to Howard University, we got to go to a tech and gaming conference. We also did a tour of Howard University. We went to the WeWork studio in Harlem. We got to meet an amazing panel there. These are the panelists that we met in New York and DC. This is the panel at Howard University, the Fair panel, the Silicon Harlem panel, and the Gentleman's Factory panel. Now this panel right here this was my panel. I just want to give a shout out to Walla's sister, Aza, and she's here in the building, yes. Because from the moment she walked in and when she was telling her story, I just resonated with so much. And I even spoke to her afterward. It was like you were telling my life story. Everything she went through, I'm just like, wow, how does she know my life? And it was just so amazing to me. But from what I took from that was, no matter how many obstacles that we face in life, no matter how many struggles that we go through, I cannot give up. There's a goal that I have to reach. And at the end of the day, I was always the type of person that likes to put the blame on everybody else. I always blame myself. I always looked at the fact that, okay, I'm a woman, I'm a minority. These are the things that are going to stop me in life. And I realized through her testimony, through the people that we met, that at the end of the day, I was the only limiting factor to myself. I was the only person stopping myself. And I had to realize that no one, no matter how many negative things no matter how many negative things that you hear, no matter how many situations that you may be in, at the end of the day, if you decide this is what I'm going to do, no one can stop you and nobody can change your mind. At the end of the day, it's all up to you. So I want to thank you for that because another person I want to shout out, I don't know if he's in the room, was Jeff Lindor. He was the creator of the Gentleman's Factory, and he was the one that also helped me put together my elevator pitch. And a crazy story I was telling Walla was that I was having a meeting at my school campus. I go to City Tech, by the way, and I'm part of the BMI. I'm part of the BMI program there. And we had a young man come in, and he was basically like a entrepreneur. He was into sales, and he was basically like explaining to us about how to sell to people, how to catch the customer, things like that. And he mentioned that he was trying to get in touch with Jeff Lindor for a really long time now. And he was explaining how it was so hard to get in contact with him, and he was naming all the phenomenal things that he was doing. And I was like, it's crazy because I know him. I'm like, and I started telling him about the Birthright Africa program, how we went to the Gentleman's Factory, I got to see his space, even how he helped me with my elevator pitch. And he's like, really, can you connect me with him? And I'm like, I got you. And it felt so good to be able to say that, like, wow, I can connect somebody. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so amazing for me. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story with you. And of course, Ghana. Just when I first got off the plane, I burst into tears, honestly, because it was like I was home. Like the air, the smells, everything, it just felt so familiar. Like honestly, I haven't been to Ghana since I was 5 years old, but I don't know, it just felt like I never left. Like it was such a welcoming feeling. And words just leaving me. I don't know, I can't say. But these are just pictures that we had when we went to the Adinkra village and the Bombiwe village. We got to make the Adinkra symbols. We got the chance to get like kente cloth and things like that. This is one of the professors from KNUS. He was speaking to us about philosophy and a whole lot of different things he was talking about. We also got to go to a part of KNUS where the artistic students are. So these are the things that they built. They built like the statue of Kwame Nkrumah. This is like their place where they just go there to create, basically. These are some more pictures when we went to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial. This is his memorial right here. This is when we went to the African Center Market. They taught us like how to play the drums and things like that. We got that experience. And this is the memorial of Kwame Nkrumah's wife, Fatima. Some more pictures. Some of my beautiful, I can't say friends, family that I made on this journey. The Adinkra symbols, its meaning. Don't mind this picture right here. Leah, when she was getting her hair braided, the Ghanaian money. It's wonderful to see black faces on money for once. Yes, just one picture of Ghana. Now this part, reconnecting with family. So like I said, I haven't been to Ghana since I was 5. So I had this opportunity to reconnect with my family members. I got to see my aunt. Honestly, at 5 years I couldn't really remember anything. So I didn't remember how she looked like. When I saw her, it was like, oh wow. I got to see my brother for the first time. He was based in Nigeria, and he came all the way to Ghana to come and see me. So this was my first time meeting him. We only chatted online, and that was a great moment. Like it was amazing. It was a really great moment. So those are some pictures of that. And we were overseas. Let me tell you, when I tell you Birthright feeds us, we really good. Lunch, dinner. Like I don't even eat like that on a regular. Oh my God. So this is not an Ivory restaurant that we went to, La Savannah, which is in Harlem. This was at another restaurant that we went to in Ghana. This was on our first night, I believe. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but this was like basically fufu and light gold soup. Then there was another restaurant we went to, Papaye. We went there frequently on Oxford Street. This last restaurant, I can't really remember the name of it, but it was really cool because the guy that owns that restaurant was actually a CUNY graduate. They graduated from City Tech, my school, and they were radiology majors. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I can't remember the name of this last restaurant, but it was really good. And that's the caterer we ate in the. So basically, with the meal. If they didn't have kelewele, it was a problem. Like every place we went to, we needed kelewele. So that's why we had the name. Well, Leia came up with the name. I know she was her friend. Kelewele 10. So yeah. Okay, so these are my Sankofa creators. First, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Of course, without him, Ghana would not have gotten to the point that it has gotten now. He was a pioneer in his own right, and I credit a lot to him. Next, Dr. Natalia M. Tanner. She was the first first African-American pediatrician in Detroit, Michigan. Afterwards, my mom. So like taking pictures, I will get this from a screenshot. But the reason why she's up there is because one thing I always love about her is the fact that I've made a lot of different choices in life, good and bad, and I've made career choices especially. And one thing is that she's never doubted my ability or ever said, okay, don't do this or don't do that. A lot of people here, you come from African Caribbean families, it's either you have to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, it's like set things that you have to be. But she always told me to chase my dreams, go after whatever I wanted. Even if she knew I was gonna make a mistake, she allowed me to make that mistake and learn for myself. So that's why I owe everything to her. And obviously she gave me life. So, Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, she was the first African-American physician in the United States. So she's definitely up there. And last but not least, Walla, my love. Walla, your dream, your legacy of innovation is the reason why we're here today. And if it wasn't for you, I would not have learned all these great things, I would not have seen all these great things, and I would not be the person that I am right now and have went through this transformation. So I'm forever thankful to you. Thank you so much. But I want to take it a step further. I want to travel back to the continent, not just to Ghana, not just to Nigeria, but to all over the continent. And I want to establish basically a system of healthcare. A lot of times now people go to the hospital there in Africa, and if you don't have maybe money to pay, they don't see you, or you're not able to get treatment. And that leads to a lot of people, getting even further sick or dying. So I want to go back there and I want to start a healthcare system where it's little to no money, where you have to pay. And also I want to give opportunities to people that also see themselves in the medical field. I want to provide training, I want to provide schooling. I want to go back and I want to use my resources that I have here in the States to go back and make a difference in my home for the betterment of the country and the continent. And this thing in connection with the continent, when we went to the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, they did have many internship opportunities. So as of right now, I am planning on applying to such, and one of the decisions I did make was that after I did finish medical school, I was going to move back to Ghana permanently. So that's how I'm staying connected.
The next person that's going to make the move to Ghana, but she confirmed it. Okay. Wonderful. So Shayna and Kike Lomo did a really great job summarizing the overall program, right? It's not just about cultural sites and museums, it's really seeing these leaders and entrepreneurs, not just going to Ghana, US exploration, really that full narrative of who we are. The Noemi who's coming up is going to give us a real moving poetry piece after she shares a little bit about herself, reflecting on arguably the most emotional part of a Ghanaian trip, or any trip where you visit the ancestors who were enslaved, related to the Cape Coast specifically. Take it away.
Good evening, everybody. Bienvenidos. My name is Noemi Lopez. Something that really inspired me with this journey, or to go on this trip, was I was not raised in a Black conscious family, and oftentimes in Latinx communities that's a very, very common case. And so going on this trip was very much more of an internal journey for me. And soon after we left Cape Coast, a very inspirational moment happened for me. But just to share just a little bit about myself, I do aspire to be a playwright, and I'm also a visual artist. One of the people who inspire me would be Lynage. She's definitely somebody who I inspire to be like, specifically because she creates stories that are very raw and tell the truth about the violent stories that happen around the world today. But there's a specific moment that I want to go back to, which was Cape Coast Castle in Ghana. And after we left that location, a lot of us were very, very heavy. And I went to the water because I do practice African spirituality, and I went to give an offering to Yemaya, who is an Orisha from the Yoruba tradition. And the water pretty much dragged me. Like, the water was very violent. It was very violent. I was not expecting it. Like, she really took my soul from me. It was a very intense situation. And Adriana even said something really, really funny, was like, she's like, "Girl, we are so lucky to have you on this bus." Like, it was a very intense situation, but I created a piece about it and my interpretation of that experience. So, blue are your waves, and salty is your taste. Ferocious was your embrace when I came to you. You took me by surprise, all my expectations denied, as your waters tossed me to and fro. I did not comprehend all the frustrations you held within until I remembered where I was, Cape Coast, a place now a symbol of beautiful tragedy, where a slave castle still stands and my ancestors learned true agony. There I was, a spectator of horror and betrayal, a trust now broken, an innocence that has become so frail. Ancestors, I pour my gratitude over this ancient sand for your sacrifice and drive to withstand all of hell and its inhumane demands. Forgive me if I ever took your experiences for granted and refused to come before you humbly. And you, Mother of the Sea, continue to witness all the manipulation and atrocity. Barclays, still, your waters consume and overwhelm me, all in order to cleanse and rejuvenate me. Thank you for teaching me to endure and be strong, to never take no as an answer, to know that I belong. I love you. You are always with me and I with you. Yemaya. One of the reasons why I put Barclays in the poem is not too far outside of the slave castles. It's literally a Barclays bank, like right outside. And it's so crazy, right? Because I believe the Barclays family was also involved in the slave trade in the beginning. And it's a crazy irony that so much time has passed, and yet there's still so much that we need to do in order to evolve. And so I just want to leave that with you all. Thank you.
Whew. That was very captivating and really captures a lot of the essence of that feeling if you have been to the Cape Coast or any of the castles that enslaved Africans. So thank you so much for that piece, Noemi. And certainly, last but not least, our elder scholar. So, our age range is up to the age of 30, and that is purposely done because we know oftentimes many of us have, a myriad of paths that we take to get through our education, and it's not always a straight shot, or there's time gaps. And so just recognizing that in the work I've done over the last 10 years in education, focused on college and career readiness, it was very intentional. And so I'm really happy about that decision because without that, we wouldn't have such amazing leaders like Akeem, who already demonstrate such amazing leadership and really help the younger scholars see themselves becoming leaders even quicker than they probably could imagine. So with that, Akeem will share with you his legacy of innovation and wrap us up with yet another amazing story connected to another scholar to show you the possibilities of the Birthright Africa program.
I guess I'm supposed to talk about how old I am. My name is Akeem Pratt. I actually recently graduated from Hunter College. Felt really good. And my degree was in accounting and computer science, so I'm a little bit, I guess, outside the wheelhouse for most of the folks here. But I felt right at home, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that before I get into my legacy of innovation. So, my family, they came from the Caribbean, Virgin Islands, and they all came up here, so family was really important. They bought an apartment building in the Bronx, and they all lived together. And I had the fortune of growing up with my cousins, a lot of them 5 times removed, but I grew up with them like siblings. So it was really, really awesome for me to kind of have that experience. And one thing that also is in my mind is like, how did they actually make that all happen? Like, how did they pull it off financially? How did they cooperate? It's still a mystery to me, and I ask now, and they don't even know how it was done. So, and the next thing I didn't want to say before I got into it was how thankful I am for being a part of all this. There's so many people around me, like Walla, you're a great inspiration. You could have been like everyone's Sankofa creator. Diallo as well, getting to hear a lot about your stories. And Andrew has been great. Adriana was so supportive. She gives me books on statistics. I found myself hanging out a lot with the adults. And the thing I noticed is that everyone around here does. Everyone is doing something, and they're just busy people. And that's something that I watched, and when I asked for advice, I hung on to every word. And I'm trying my best now to do as well, and to kind of get back in my own way. And one way that I was able to kind of do that and get some guidance about it was with my initiative for financial literacy. I kind of want to build a platform for that. So it came about, so I actually worked in nonprofit and some taxes, but on the way home I passed through the South Bronx, I live in Parkchester, and it was just really, really frustrating to see, yes, all day. But it was really, really frustrating to see like the lines at the check cashing places. It was really, really unfortunate, like when I worked at a nonprofit, to learn all the statistics about people who I guess were just pretty much throwing money away. Like there are so many services that they're missing out of that they could use. And I think that I can be one of the solutions to kind of bridge the gap. One thing I'd like to focus on is just to get people involved in talking. Not enough people even talk about like just salary figures or just general information. We need to be sharing information and just having some kind of discourse. And one way to kind of do that is leveraging a few technology pieces. I'm going to show a demo of how that could look, but just talking about this is very important. I also want to have a curated kind of repository for all kinds of resources. And these won't be just, it could be local, it could be regional, it could be international. The end result is going to be a global, kind of a network. And I definitely have some ideas, and there's a lot more concrete, I guess, plans, but this is just an overview. So, let's get the videos going. So right now, I actually use this Discord server. It was made for gaming, but I use it, as you see, there's English, Japanese, there's other languages I'm learning. There's even BMI's and Intercollegiate Council there. I'm on the council with Sean. But here is actually just a more intermediate financial server where people can join. There's bots, there's just conversations, there's a lot that you can actually just kind of talk about. And this is actually my family server, where I kind of give lessons and my brother does the same. We tutor in whether it's security analysis, Japanese, anything. But the point is to show how this can be used for financial literacy and how I plan to scale it. So this is one free resource where people can put information and start to reach lots of other people. And the other great thing about this service, and the way that I plan to use it, is that you can actually teach directly from it. So I actually currently tutor using it. You can host, it's limited only by your internet connection. So I've done it to about 8 people, and this is an example of me tutoring some graduate work in accounting. It's about career paths in public accounting, this particular thing. But I've used it countless times to tutor in accounting, and I think it's a really good starting point, and it's definitely something I plan to build on within 1 year. I definitely want to register a nonprofit and get things rolling. And as far as, I guess I talked about community and family. One thing that I took away from this trip is that, like, being the oldest and kind of looking at all of you, it was really nice to see parts of myself, and it was really nice to just kind of like feed off some of your energy. It was a very good thing for me to be around. I learned a lot of new slang as well, like lit and dub. I thought W meant win, but it means the opposite. Each of you, I think I've gotten to know and spent some personal time with. Some of you have gotten closer with than others. And I think there's someone that should probably come up and join me, share a little bit of information. Leia, would you mind?
My name is Satalea Leonellis. I'm very nervous, sorry. I met Akeem through the Birthright Africa program. I come from foster care. My mom was going through her own things with mental health. She had schizophrenia and depression, and she used drugs. My dad wasn't really in my life, and he also got deported in 2013. So I didn't really have much family. Growing up in the group home, I had a lot of interesting experiences. Mostly I had white families, and they weren't really helpful to me when they would do my hair. Like, they really hurt me. Like, they would just kind of yank it, and like, they didn't know braids, they didn't know grease. So I was going to school looking really crazy, and just, it was a mess. They didn't know how to lay edges. It was, yeah, I looked like a motherless child. It was really sad. And one experience that I remember the most was having a Chinese foster mom. All I ate was rice, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sticky rice, all kinds of rice, just rice balls, everything. But she was really sweet, and she taught me a lot. And although she wasn't my permanent foster mom, she really made an impact on my life. And she kind of made me like proud to be Black. And I thought that was really strange because I thought she would like, when I first moved in with her, I thought she would just like toss me around and probably like lock me up. I just thought the craziest things. But she turned out to be a really good person to me, and we still talk. Sometimes I call her mom, sometimes it's kind of awkward, I slip up. But now I have a new family. Akeem's mom has adopted me. And I'm actually going to spend Thanksgiving with them. There's Black people in Connecticut, actually, so I felt safe. But even the Uber driver was like, "Where are we going?" And I was like, "Yeah, where are we going?" I was so scared, but as soon as I walked in, everyone was like super nice and like kind of like, you know how people are like really nice, but you're kind of like, should I trust you? But they were just so sweet, and they like took me in like immediately. I met like, not the whole family, because it's a big family. But I met uncles, aunties, cousins, and everyone told me the same thing. Once you come into this family, the only way to leave is death. I guess I have a family for life now, literally. And Akeem's mom and I have grown very close in the short period of time we've known each other. She doesn't know my whole life story just yet, because it is very personal to me, and I have been through a lot trauma-wise. But she's like my best friend, and we talk and text each other. I wish she could have came tonight, but she was in school. This woman is phenomenal. I mean, scholar, mom, she's just great. She could cook too, the food, oh my God. The food! She's just a great person, and I'm so happy she took me in. Like, I was very surprised when Akeem asked, like, the way he told me, you should tell them, because tell them. It was literally a text message, and he was just like, it's still a shock to me. Like, he sat me down. I was like feeling sad that day or whatever, and he called me down when we were at Ghana this time, and he showed me a text message, and I'm reading it. I'm like, what you talking about adoption? Who's gonna adopt me? And then he said that he asked his mom, and she was just like ecstatic. She's like, yes, bring her. So yeah, okay.
That's pretty much it. He said, you got room for one more? She said, yep, bring her on. That's all I'm going to share for tonight. I'll be around after if you guys want to chat.
All right, guys. So that's the amazing possibility of the Birthright Africa program. Would never have imagined in a million years that this could be the result. So of course we talk about being brothers and sisters, but literally it has happened. Through the Kelewele 10, and what's phenomenal is not only is Akeem the eldest, Satalea is the youngest, and so they really showcase that family love that can happen. And so at this time, as we wrap up, I want to invite the entire Kelly Wellington to come up on stage and get their fair due. In addition to everyone you heard from, we got Tyrell Petrie, who did the 2018 video that you just saw. We've got Leah Stedman, plus Kwame Sparks. Guys, go into the middle. Come on, show us who you are. The future. And